got a few things to talk about, most of which involve E4B. And by the way, the last post I want to show you actually raises a valid question, which is why I'm covering this. First off, there was this image. It's Lily Pete in a mecha sword, I guess. Me up here with my whiteboard, looking like Voice of Reason for some reason. Lizzie, I guess. At least I think. And last, Alicorn. Because they say that I run with a dangerous crowd. We ain't too pretty, we ain't too proud. They might be laughing a bit too loud, but that never hurt no one. 'Cause only the good die young. Also, I know I already talked about this image in one of the Anime Christie videos, but from what I've been told since then, this is supposedly a quote from Batman: The Killing Joke. I have not seen that movie, though, so I wouldn't have known. Both of which were pictures JoJo from E4B made. And, by the way, I do have to say, they are pretty good pictures overall. Anyway, did you guys know there's a Brony dictionary out there? I didn't either, until I found it out via E4B. Link to it is in the description. They actually have two names for me, one of which is Ken Penders Jr., and the second one is Sifro Joe, as in Sifrojo. They are both very lol, ruffle, my name is Jeff Maymays, if I do say so myself. Their definition for me goes as follows. Sifro Joe, a vlogger slash commentator slash pedophile. That's actually another word they have a definition for. It's follower of Lily Pete, often to religious levels. You know, even though I disagree with Lily Pete on Bernie Sanders, and while I do feel it's morally right to punch fascists, I genuinely think there will be repercussions in the end that will make it not a good idea in hindsight, but please ignore that. Then they spell my name right. He has a major hate boner for the MLP analysis community, you know, except for Mr. Enter, or Lily Pete, or Anthony C., or Voice of Reason, or Silver Quill, or multiple people. But again, we'll get to that in a little bit. And as targeted slash slandered such members of such, let's go through these one by one, by the way. Josh Scorcher, I criticized his centrist, look at how smart I am, like, I'm so deep and philosophical, guys, worldview when it came to the 2016 election, as well as said I felt response to Lily Pete was garbage. Ink Rose, who I criticized for being pro-life, making bad music, and being a hypocrite, which wasn't slander, because I showed you guys the tweets where she was being a hypocrite. I also made a 1-minute video criticizing her for a spelling mistake. Misanthropony, who I said should show evidence for his claims and actually, you know, make arguments. Golden Fox, who we'll get to in a little bit. But basically the only thing I said about him was I felt his review, not even his reviews, I felt the storyline he had in his review of Do Princesses Dream of Magic Sheep was garbage. Keyframe, who I said was in a bad review, I never really criticized her content itself in the past. And Toon Critic, who was really, the only reason I covered Toon Critic to begin with was because he was in the Respect the Artist movement. And not only that, but because he was one of the figureheads who made a really bad video talking about it. And then I said other people were accusing him of being an abuse apologist. I didn't say he was, just making that clear. Abuses terms like emotional manipulation. Well, that can't be true, otherwise Toon Critic would be apologizing for it. Oh, snap, crackle, and pop. Oh, never let me say that again, ever. Without knowing what they mean. Now, the last post I'd like to cover is, again, going to be linked in the description. Basically, it started off when I made a tweet linking the Mystery Science Theater 3000 riff of Castle of Fu Manchu and said, rumor has it this was the movie that inspired at Golden Fox 17. And then both JoJo and some guy named Panda Science, it's spelled Pandasennin, I have no clue how you're supposed to pronounce it. Pandasinin, maybe? Anyway, they talk about it. Then, I really want to respond to Death Pony's response to it. By the way, something I've noticed when going through the E4B is it seems to share a pattern. Post about Lily, Pete, or me. Let's see. Then, the post is almost always by JoJo. Then Death Pony comes in and makes a point, and ends with a GIF. I've seen Anime Wolf Gamer there occasionally, and I've seen the Curry Mod there like 2 times. Honestly. It's pretty much only JoJo and Death Pony at this point. Anyway, we're gonna go through Death Pony's post. Personally, I'd love to see Josine get a big "Reason You Suck" speech by Golden. Considering I can assume even he's getting sick and tired of this guy constantly tagging him on Twitter. First off, we all know a Golden Fox "Reason You Suck" speech would just be him basically crying while saying "you're mean" over and over again. Let's be real here. At least, that's what I can predict happened based off the evidence that I've seen. Second off, constantly tagged. You mean like how you guys constantly mention both me and Lily Pete more than I've mentioned Golden Fox? Not only that, but when I mention Golden Fox in a tweet, it's like 140 characters or less. I think of it, I'm like, hey, that's kind of funny, I'm going to tweet that. Like, I see a link to Castle of Fumi and choose Mystery Science Theater, so I'm like, hey, it'd be funny if I type, this is the movie that inspired Golden Fox. Or I see Dusk Dawn, like, still better than Golden Fox, or something along those lines. And by the way, both those tweets were like 2 weeks apart. So to say that I constantly do it is very misleading. Meanwhile, you guys write multiple paragraph responses to people like me and Lily Pete on a very regular basis. Again, probably more so than I even mention Golden Fox. Probably more so than I even think about Golden Fox. Now, I have one question, and Josine, I know you can read this since you're revealing us talking about your obsessive-compulsive behavior of attacking reviewers of a show about multicolored horses. And that question is, why do you hate Golden Fox so much? Because I feel his content is garbage. Or better yet, why do you care about MLP reviewers? Now, I'm going to answer this question in a little bit. But first off, let's go through the rest of the article first, and I'll answer the question. You've made it clear you're not a Brony, or even interested in the Brony fandom. Okay, that doesn't make any sense. If I wasn't interested, why would I be talking about you guys to begin with? I'm clearly interested in this because it's amusing to me. But here you are being mentioned on a Tumblr that discusses sourpusses within the fandom. And yet you are going around attacking viewers like Golden Fox or Toon Critic. Okay, I went after Golden Fox and Toon Critic for very different reasons. I went after Golden Fox because I felt the story and his reviews sucked. I went after Toon Critic because I felt he was making basically a propaganda piece in the Respect the Artist movement, which was, again, still idiotic. Again, to this day, I still feel it's very, very idiotic. I have like 5 videos explaining why I feel that movement was idiotic, and by the way, all of them were made when that movement was still relevant. Just so you guys know. We're saying Keyframe as a content creator sucks because she collabed with her boyfriend in an awful video, but please ignore that. Also, I don't think I ever called Keyframe a bad content creator per se. I think I said her co-op with Golden Fox was awful because it was. But I don't think I've ever insulted Keyframe. Golden Fox I definitely have, but I don't recall particularly being insulting towards Keyframe's content. I'm not even being snarky here, I'm legit asking you why you, a non-Brony, are making subpar videos on YouTube about MLP reviewers and using a whiteboard as a means to school these people when you're not involved, or even know much about the fandom. I actually used to be in the fandom. I actually used to be a Brony, then I just stopped watching the show. For that matter, you guys have compared me to Fox News reporters in the past, but none of you have taken the opportunity, since I have a whiteboard, to compare me to Glenn Beck. You know, he was famous for his chalkboard. You know, maybe it's because you all are paid by Glenn Beck. Hey, I'm just asking questions. I couldn't resist, I'm sorry. You thought the unicorn frappe was a brony thing, for God's sakes. That was a joke. I also said the brony frappe is the reason why people are starting to hate capitalism. Again, that was a joke. I don't actually think the unicorn frappe was only made for bronies. I just thought, hey, it would be kind of funny if I compared this to bronies. Now granted, you don't have to think it was funny. You could think that joke was awful. However, you have to acknowledge that it was a joke. You can't just say, oh, why Ephrom Josine is always serious. Your obsession with Golden Fox has become not only uncomfortable, but even creepy. But you guys' obsession with Lily Pete is not creepy. You tag him on Twitter multiple times and constantly make comments about the guy when he hasn't done anything to you. Like you guys do with Lily Pete, but again, it's okay when you guys do it because Lily Pete is evil, I guess. Again, it's the same logic. I brought this up before. Remember when they had the image of cartoons stabbing Lily Pete? It's okay to have an image of, cartoons stabbing Lily Pete. We'll say, oh, play We Are the Champions to that, but if you call Josh Scorcher malignant human cancer, that's too far. Because again, these people remind me of Daily Banter. You guys remember that? Go watch my video on Daily Banter, or Cenk Uyghur's video on Daily Banter over on Young Turks. You guys just are going, please, 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 big people in the Brony fandom, please love me. Please love me. I'll do anything. That's what you guys remind me of. You guys remind me of Daily Banter. And that is sad. It can't be because of the controversial Season 4 drama mentioned above, because, as mentioned above, you are not a Brony. You're right, it's about the fact that I felt one of his reviews was awful. I don't know why people are giving Golden Fox crap over Season 4, though. I mean, he even said it was a lot better than he thought it was. I'm not even kidding. That's a line that's on his TV Tropes page, or on the Awesome/MLP Analysis page. It actually says, Season 4 was a lot better than I thought it was. What does that sentence even mean? How can something be better than you thought it was? Again, link in the description if you don't believe me. It can't be because of his Brony content, because again, you are not a Brony. Actually, it's because, again, I thought one of his reviews was awful. And it can't be because you don't like his opinions on the fandom. Isn't that applied under Brony content? Because again, you are not a Brony. No, I don't like his videos. I don't like his one review that I've seen. So I occasionally take a pot shot at him. That's what it is. That's what you guys are calling obsession. The obsessive nature you have towards Golden is as uncomfortable as FNGR's obsession with Dr. Wolf. Is that even a thing? Like, I've watched a good amount of How Not to Brony. I remember Lily Pete being mentioned more than Dr. Wolf. Heck, I remember Shelly D being mentioned more than Dr. Wolf. Or Jerry's obsessive nature with hating Starlight Glimmer. She said she'd start covering Starlight episodes, because you guys were sick of hearing her complain about Starlight. What more do you people want? So, question again, why do you hate Golden Fox, and why do you care so much about Bronalysis reviewers if you aren't a Brony? Okay, let me tell you the answer. You see, a long time ago, I think it was about a year or two ago at this point, I was watching a commentator named, I think, Inspector Fernegg. I don't think he's still around anymore. But he did a commentary on a commentator named Mr. Flipper Invader 782. Now, Mr. Flipper Invader's commentary was on Lily, who was at the time Jerry, Pete's 10 worst videos. It was a glass of water episode. Okay? I was like, wow, this person, this Pete guy, seems very intelligent. And it seems really interesting, it seems entertaining. So I went to Pete's channel, found out it was Lily Pete then. The video was made when found out it was Lily Pete then. And then started going through Glass of Water. Was like, I'm not even a Brony anymore, because as I mentioned before, I used to be a Brony. But hey, this content is still really interesting and really entertaining, and I like it. I remember even one weekend I just watched all the Glass of Water episodes I haven't yet watched, and I really enjoyed all of them. Around that time, in fact, I think this was a few months later, I found all these people who were... Well, actually, I think the first one I found was Vita. His On Your High Horse on Pete. I think it was on Trick Up Your Sleeve, or Trick Up My Sleeve, or one of... And I commentated on it because I realized, wow, this person is making really bad arguments. And then I found out that was only the tip of the iceberg, as I kept seeing more and more members of the Brony community make these awful arguments. So I was like, wow, I am going to go through, I'm going to debunk quite a few of them, because I feel their arguments are faulty. This has nothing to do with them being bronies. It has to do with them making bad arguments. Now, I found Golden Fox via a link in the comments of one of my Lily Pete videos. You know, someone just linked me to review. I watched it. I didn't like it. In fact, I called it awful, so I made a commentary on it. And that's, well, how it happened. It was basically just... I found people making bad arguments. I made videos on them. Someone linked me to a video in the comments of one of those videos where I debunked someone making bad arguments. And I felt the video was that they linked me was awful. That's what happened. That's it. I'm Cifro Joe, and good night.